Whoa, Robert, a sacrifice!
We've got multiple incredible moves to come just like that one. But first, let's set the scene because Alireza Firouzja, like a phoenix reborn from the ashes, is back playing some of the most scintillating chess we've seen this year. We thought he was dead to fashion heaven, but he's risen back to chess, up there with the gods like Magnus Carlsen himself, and they're playing in the grand final of the Chessable Masters, a Champions Chess Tour event, and this is the grand final reset, which means that Alireza won the first part of this match. Against the odds, he did it in scintillating fashion. Did I already say scintillating? It was scintillating. So we come to this one here. They're playing a rematch. First to 1.5 wins. Magnus is with white in this first game. Alireza with black, and Magnus has just gone down. Lost 2 games, right? So what can he do here? So d4 is played by Magnus. We get knight f6, bishop g5, the Trompovsky attack. Not so often seen at the top level. We get d5, e3, c5 from Alireza. This knight develops to d2, knight c6, and Magnus sets up the classic party hat pawn formation. Does his celebratory dance on camera as he so often does. Loves this structure. So Alireza captures. He wants to disrupt it before Magnus gets too into the jig. Now we get h6. The bishop retreats here. You know, you can take, shatter the structure, but these top GMs, they love their bishop pair. So bishop f5 from Alireza. After the knight develops, he then goes e6. He wants to get this bad bishop outside the pawn chain, at least activate it. Why is it the bad bishop? Well, less room to run around in the structure. It's on the same colour as its own pawns. So bishop e2 develops. Now bishop d6. This is the good bishop. Look at how it sprays out in all directions, unopposed. We get castles, queen c7, and it offers Magnus the chance to shatter the pawns there. But he doesn't want to do it. Open up a big attack. Give the bishops as mentioned. So instead, he tucks back with this one, and we see a captures on g3. The h-pawn recaptures. Look at the accuracy levels that both players are playing with. And rumour has it, it was at this point that Kramnik phoned in, spoke to the show, the producers. He wasn't happy about the accuracy level of the players. They wouldn't take him seriously, so he followed his standard operating procedure.
Okay, let's do the procedure. Block. This is first what I do.
And went on to try and block Magnus and Alireza for such insanely accurate chess. Mad stuff, right? But let's crack on with the game here. Because did Alireza castle? A standard looking move? Hell no. He goes pawn h5. He wants to rip Magnus's head off. His tail is up. He wants to do this one day if the knight moves. So rook e1 from Magnus. Calm stuff. Hits the half open file and vacates the f1 square. g6 now from Alireza. He turns this one into a big pawn. So one day he's going to want some kind of pawn break. We get knight on f1 now. No fun for black with a knight on f1. It's coming to e3 potentially to eye this bishop, and so knight g4. Stops knight e3 unless you want to ruin the structure here. So queen d2 played, and now Alireza, he could just go king f8 into g7. Nice little walk. But instead, he plays very ambitiously with castles queenside. Magnus has already shouted it out before. This is why we love Alireza. He'll always pick the most fighting line. So Magnus, his move, he never looks before he leaps right. Sticks it on the board here with pawn b4. He wants to attack. Always play king b8. a4, a kind of backwards, upside down bayonet pawn structure. This is your classic bayonet pawn structure. This is kind of like an Australian version. The pawn down under over here. Now here, we see f6 played. Alireza is looking for a pawn break. It's a great move. He's not bothered about b5. If for anyone newer to chess, this would be a terrible move because the knight hops in here. You've killed the pawns, blockaded them. c4 also firmly under the control. Black doing great, free hand to attack. So of course Magnus doesn't do that. He could start with a5, but he instead goes for knight to h4. Starts to unclog the toilet over here. It was pretty blocked up. He's eyeballing this bishop. I got that line earlier from Hikari, by the way.
Yeah, now the king side is kind of clogged, like a toilet, like an overflowing toilet bowl.
Now, what to do here? Well, Alireza has a long think, but a wrong think. There's this expression in chess that spending oodles of time isn't always the best policy. Because what should Alireza do? Well, e5. Let's jump to the back cave. Why is this a better move? Well, Magnus should carry on with a5 here, looking to attack. But if he takes, which we see in the game, now after this pawn recaptures, if you carry on with bishop d3, attacking, like we see in the game, then there's e4. This is critical. So coming back here, that's why g5 is not so good. Yes, you capture, pawn recaptures, and black's got a lovely clump of pawns running down the board, but bishop d3, you have a massive weakness on f5 now, and you can't go e4 like you could in those other variations. Trouble ahead. Now f4 possible, but Alireza goes for knight e7. That one was potentially getting kicked soon anyway. Covers this pawn here, and now Magnus, he senses this is his moment to take over. He goes into the tank on his own clock here, goes deep on the hairdo, which he's growing out right now. Seems to be trying to catch up the former Hans Niemann haircut. He wants to get back to the days of being the world hair champion. He's going in, he's hard on the tank, the brain is swelling, the hair is growing. He wants to find the right move here, and he comes up with a cracker of pawn to f3. Never play f3, says Ben Feingold, but not in this circumstance. Sure, you weaken the king, but you drive back this knight here, and then rook e6. What an invasion. That piece is a bone in the throat here. We see rook hf8 to cover the pawn, but it's miserable. The computer wants to drop back with this knight, which I much prefer because then the rook stays here and you can try and push h4. But this one on the board, that's ugly. Magnus doubles the rooks. The knight is hit, so it retreats to c8 here, and now a5. Magnus gets the pawns rumbling. Knight d6, looks at some important squares over here. a6 from Magnus, b6 played, but new weaknesses opened up on the light squares. Knight e3, that one recycling into the game, hitting this pawn, and it's so tough to deal with. You know, what if you go for this or something? Open the rook to defend, try and block this square. Well, you can get an awesome game by just capturing and preparing to go b5 or d5 or knight c2, then b5, knight b4 into c6. You've got the open line. Really lovely positional ideas that are so hard to fight against. So no knight c4, if queen c6, b5. So queen d7 was played, gives this pawn, which Magnus takes, and now this is just fantastic from Alireza Firouzja. Magnus always said he is devilishly tricky. Bang, knight e4. He sees the tactics always. It's the top move to keep the game alive, keep fighting here. Because the queen now hits this rook, which is unprotected. You've intercepted the connection here, or interrupted the connection, and the queen is hit. So if you take, you know, standard move, surely you can't put the knight there. Well, you lose the rook, and black's doing quite well. So that one's not working out. What else to do? Move the queen, lose the rook. Well, Magnus finds the absolute top move here. But the second top move, in case you thought of this one, is rook takes knight. That is also good. Pawn recaptures here, and now after bishop takes back, pawn takes back, white is still doing better here. Look at this amazing clump of pawns, upside down bayonet. So that was a good move, but Magnus, for his part, finds a top move and smashes through on b6 with check. This is fantastic because after pawn recaptures, now he takes the knight. So he's got a knight and a pawn for his rook. Not such a bad exchange. Plus the king is getting ripped open now. Now, if you take this pawn, not played, well, bishop can recapture. Hang on, can't you drive it back? Take it away from the defense of the knight. But then the queen drops this one off. And this is coming with check. And you're basically getting mated in just a few moves. So you just can't do that. So no takes played. King a7 comes away from some of the threats. Protects this pawn here. Now b5 on the board from Magnus. And it's more great chess. He wants knight b4 to c6 check. So Alireza takes some action. Bishop recaptures. Now hang on. Have you not just dropped a very important pawn there? Well, yes, Magnus has seen all of this and now lands just one of the most epic moves of the game. Let's say the second most epic. There's another very epic move coming in a minute on Epic Chess. If you're loving the video, please do subscribe. Never miss a future one. Now, what does Magnus play here? Well, he finds the absolutely explosive c4. What a move. Because if queen recaptures here, well, then there's rook c1. And you're invading down here with the support of the knight. The king getting cut to shreds. And if you don't take here, you take here. Well, now knight b4 is an excellent move. Picking up a tempo, then heading for c6. Also queen b2, threatening rook a1, as well as pressuring here with the knight. You just can't deal with all the threats. There's too much. So the pawn's untouchable. Queen a5 instead played, looking for a queen trade. Magnus goes knight b4, looking to check, pick up the queen. So the rook covers, best move. Alireza's desperately low on time. And now Magnus could go c5. It's the top engine move. But he simplifies into an endgame. Loves an endgame, and he lands it with knight c6 check. Forces Alireza to give up the rook. Then he takes the queens off the board here. A swish and zug, which he whispers into the mic as the top professionals do. We see pawn recaptures. Now he takes here. Knight f5 coming back into the game. Hitting this pawn. d5. King takes on a6. Material is restored. Sure, Magnus has got the better pawns here, but they're both low on time. Alireza has chances now. So c5 played. Love that move. Look at the barrier it forms. Magnus going Gandalf on Firouzja here. You shall not pass. Now rook d8 played. Rook e6, invading, and what a move this is. So tricky to deal with. You can go king a7, but then the pawns start marching, okay. So Alireza finds the best response with knight d4. Hits both of these pieces. How are you dealing with that one? Well, guess what? This is where Magnus comes up with a move that I clipped earlier. He plays the fantastic bishop a4 discovered check, allowing the knight to take, which Alireza doesn't do, because then there's pawn recaptures, and the march of this pawn is completely unstoppable with the bishop controlling the square. Therefore, you have to give your rook for a pawn. That is a lost endgame. Incredible move.
Whoa, Robert, a sacrifice.
We reacted the same time in the same way, giving up the rook because this pawn would promote. That was sick stuff from Magnus Carlsen.
So instead, the king sidestepped. Now another check. King b8, pawn d6. These pawns operate so well on the opposite colour complex to this bishop. They complement each other. We see rook c8, eyeballing this c5 pawn. Now rook e4 hits the knight, it moves away, and king f2 sets a trap which Alireza falls for. You know, why not take the pawn? Well, it's played in the game, but it was so tough. You know, what else to do? You can play moves like knight h6, the computer says, h4, king b7, but white can slowly bring in the king. Then you can start pushing the pawns at your leisure. It's just really, really tough. Rook e6 could be an idea as well. What Alireza plays is rook takes on c5, very natural, but now check. Then the king goes because it can't come into c7. Lovely use of the pawn. So king b7, pawn runs, rook comes behind, you make the promotion, captures, this one takes back, and Alireza resigns the game. Why did he resign? We'll look at the material count. These two cancel out, and then you're an entire rook up. This will just be a mop-up job for a player like Magnus. So this was what happened in game one of the reset. Could Alireza win in game 2? Well, alas, sadly not. He didn't take it to, I guess it would have been an Armageddon. He was trying to push, of course, had a promising position, but Magnus fought back and in the end took the win. Didn't really matter, win or draw was the same difference. So Magnus, he is our 2024 Chessable Masters champion. Congratulations to him. No real surprises there, right? But the chess Alireza played today was out of this world. I'll get to some of those games in the coming days. Thanks very much for watching, and if you want to see another epic game of chess, check out the video on screen. Cheers.